Liverpool survives scare. Suarez turns it on. Ajax set the pace. We've got a transfer news roundup and, of course, today's power rankings. There are more coming up in the next few minutes as I'm your host, Matt Frodek. You are the Onefootballers, and this is the Daily News. First off for last night to Liverpool, who started absolutely brilliantly. Then they let a 3-0 lead slip, and then they eventually managed to win it in the end. It's kind of like what every other team does when they screw up, except Liverpool still managed to turn it around. First off, Sadio Mane, brilliant. Salah with 2 goals, fantastic. And Trent Alexander-Arnold providing an assist for Andy Robertson, fullback to fullback, and that is exactly how fantastically Liverpool play. The other side of it was, though, they didn't actually do too well defensively. After going 3-0 up, they can probably be guilty of cruising a little bit as they let Salzburg back into the game. Now, this isn't exactly something unexpected, as, well, Salzburg have been in ridiculous goal-scoring form this season. In their 9 league games, they have 40 goals. That is more than 4 per game. Unbelievable. Of course, the main star of last round was Erling Braut Haaland, who scored 3 goals in their defeat of Genk. Due to illness, he was on the bench, but he did come on and manage to grab the equalising goal before, as I said before, Mo Salah smashed in the 4th. What this does show is that despite the fact Virgil van Dijk was actually dribbled past when Salzburg scored their first, he is obviously a brilliant defender. It really shows how important Joel Matip has become to Liverpool. The Cameroonian missed the game through injury, and it really showed. And Liverpool will be hoping that he could be back soon enough so they can not concede 3 goals at home. Still, things could be worse than they could have done to Spurs and conceded 7, but really, I don't think that was going to happen against Salzburg. No offence to the Austrians. But moving on from Liverpool and to the team that they demolished in last season's semi-final, Barcelona. Sorry, Barca fans, for bringing that up. I just thought that was a good segue between the two stories. Anyway, last night, things got a little bit better for Barca as they managed to turn around an early goal from Lautaro Martinez to win 2-1 against Inter Milan. Now, normally you'd think, yeah, Barcelona at home, they should be winning. This is no mean feat, by the way. Inter Milan are 6-6 in Serie A. Antonio Conte's got them playing brilliantly. They sit top of the league, and while they've got a lot of confidence heading into the game against Juventus at the weekend. You can see this by the fact that not only did they score early, but they could have scored again if it weren't for Marc-Andre ter Stegen's brilliant left hand. Is he the German number 1 at the moment? We'll wait and see. As to what happened in the second half, Luis Suarez happened. That is what happened. The first goal, a ridiculous volley. The second one, a brilliant dribble from Messi and a fantastic touch from Suarez around his Uruguayan international teammate Diego Godin to find the back of the net. Now, many people are doubting Messi a little bit because of his injury, but you can clearly see, still, when he has the ball, everyone just completely panics. So much so, they opens up space for Suarez to go and did what he did. For him, it's actually been a good few days. He did score at the weekend in the 2-0 victory over Getafe, and after the signing of Antoine Griezmann, he probably thought that his place was under a little bit of threat. Well, with performances like this, you can still see that he is the number 1 striker at Barcelona. In the other game in the group, Borussia Dortmund won 2-0 with a double from fullback Hakimi, the first goals of his senior career from the Real Madrid loanee. This means that Dortmund and Barcelona top the group with 4 points each. So next up, and to something of a little bit of surprise, if you go by the fact that they sold their 2 biggest players in the summer, and it's Ajax being absolutely clinical yet again. As if a fantastic opening day victory over Lille wasn't good enough, they've gone to Valencia on match day 2 and won 3-0. Now, I'm not saying that Valencia are ridiculously unbeaten and the most amazing team, no offence to them, but this is still a pretty good result. In the summer, of course, they lost De Ligt and they lost De Jong, but it doesn't really seem to have affected Ajax. They've reinvested cleverly, and what they haven't lost is all of their attacking threat. Hakim Ziyech is still on fire. What a goal. Dusan Tadic is pulling strings in the middle, and Donny van der Beek is popping up to score the goals. It's a brilliant 3-0 win, and what it means is they really take control of a group where anything could happen. Lille have now lost 2-2, and that's because Chelsea managed to win 2-1 at the French side. Tammy Abraham scored his first Champions League goal, and Williams' volley means that group is really open, but it's Ajax setting the pace out on top with 2 wins out of 2. It'll be interesting to see how they fare against Frank Lampard's Chelsea on match day 3. And for those of you wondering a little bit more about Ajax and how the whole youth system actually works, well, we've got an interesting video coming out this weekend, which you'd all keep your eyes peeled for. So next up, we come to a quick roundup of the rest of the day's transfer/daily news, where Tammy Abraham says he still hasn't decided on his international future, with Nigeria and England the 2 options for the Chelsea striker. Mauricio Sarri wants to be reunited with N'Golo Kante, and Juventus Juventus are preparing a £70 million bid for the French World Cup winner. For some reason, West Ham have put an £80 million price tag on Declan Rice. Not quite sure why that's happening. And Dayot Upamecano, the RB Leipzig centre-back, is subject of a bid from Arsenal for around £53 million. So with that said and done, that brings us Thursdays, of course, to this week's Power Rankings. Now, for those of you who know what it's all about, good. For those of you who don't, here's a quick recap. So basically what we do is we look at the last 5 games from a team and look at which players have performed best and put them into some sort of power ranking. For example, Lionel Messi has not played every one of Barcelona's recent games due to injury, so we're looking at the last 5 games of Barcelona, not the last 5 games of Messi. This means obviously when he doesn't play that he does get a 0 rating, knocking down his overall average. But for the rest of the players, they move up and down based on how good they've done recently. So if you really want to know why your favourite player isn't there, well, check out how they've performed recently. So for example, as we kick things off with 10 to 6, I can tell you that Sergio Aguero, last week's number 1, is down at 10. How has that happened? You might be wondering. Well, that is because Aguero at the weekend didn't even start against Everton when he came on, wasn't great, and had a pretty poor performance against Dinamo Zagreb. So with those 2 ratings, considering in his last 5, he's dropped down to 10th position. The rest of 10 to 6 are made up by Sadio Mane, who worked himself in after a brilliant performance in the Champions League. Luis Suarez, 2 goals have seen him move into 8th, and the goal at the weekend, of course. Daniel Marlon from PSV keeps up his brilliant recent form by scoring another at the weekend. And Dusan Tadic, of course, Ajax's main guy up front, is back in at number 6. So moving into the top 5 now, and it'll be no surprise to you that most of them are Bayern Munich players. In at number 5, Joshua Kimmich. 2 assists against Cologne in the last 5, a brilliant goal against Spurs, a brilliant performance, mean that he keeps his spot, whether it's a right back or centre midfield. The guy is just unbelievable. In at number 4, his teammate Serge Gnabry. You're probably wondering why he's not higher, but he's only had a good performance in the last 2 games. At the weekend, he managed to bag a goal and assist, and of course on Tuesday night, 4 goals and an assist in that demolition of Spurs, means he fires his way straight in to number 4, last season's player of the year for Bayern Munich. Number 3, we're taking a quick break from Bayern Munich to head to Manchester City, as despite all their big names, Riyad Mahrez is the one who's really putting in some stellar performances at the moment. He's got a few goals, 3 assists and a couple of man of the match awards in the last 5 games, and really showing why Pep Guardiola wants to pay £60 million for the Premier League winner. So now we come down to the last 2. I'm going to present a case for both. First off, and there is the man who has scored 7 goals in the last 5 games for Bayern Munich, Robert Lewandowski. He's on absolute fire. There doesn't look to be a sharper striker in Europe than the Polish player at the moment, and he really just looks like such a fantastic asset to have. He could be firing Bayern Munich to success this season. And on the other hand, there's Philippe Coutinho. I did say it was Bayern heavy. The Brazilian midfielder has been unbelievable since switching from Barcelona, so much so that the board are apparently already willing to pay the fee that will take him to Bayern on a permanent basis. He's got an assist in each of the last 3 games, a couple of man of the match awards and 2 goals to boot, and he was fantastic again in the Champions League. So with that said and done, the winner this week is of course Robert Lewandowski. He was a very close second last week, continued his goal scoring form, so now sits atop of the tree. So let me know your thoughts on this week's power rankings. Who would you have had at number 1 and who is missing from the list? Of course, whilst you're down in the comment section, you can also let me know your thoughts on the rest of today's daily news. Whilst you're there, smash the like button and click here or here to check out all of the other videos we've got going on OneFootball. But until next time, I will see you guys later.